A man is hauled into the air by his bound arms and dropped, over and over. Within a year, broke and banished to a tiny farm, that same man writes the most feared book about power ever put on paper, and he sends it off as a job application. His name is Niccolo Machiavelli. For 14 years, he ran the diplomatic and military affairs of the Florentine Republic, meeting kings, popes, and warlords, watching up close how power was really won and lost. He wasn't a philosopher in a tower. He was the man in the room. Then, in 1512, the Medici family seized Florence, shut the Republic down, and threw him out. He was arrested, tortured on suspicion of plotting against them, and finally released, with nothing. So he retreats to a small farm outside the city. By day, he's a country gentleman, chopping wood, trading insults with locals at the tavern. But at night, he later told a friend in a letter, he changes out of his muddy clothes, puts on the fine robes he once wore at court, and steps into his study to speak with the great writers of the past. Out of those nights comes a short, blunt book he calls The Prince. And here's the part that surprises people. He dedicates it to Lorenzo de' Medici, one of the very family that ruined him. The book is, in part, a resume. Machiavelli is saying, I understand power better than anyone alive. Hire me. So why is this little book so dangerous? Because of one move Machiavelli makes. For centuries, books advising rulers were about how a good prince should behave. Be just, be merciful, be pious. Machiavelli throws that out. He says he's going to describe how rulers actually behave when they want to keep power, not how they ought to. He looks at the world as it is, not as we'd like it to be. That sounds obvious today. In 1513, it was a scandal, because the honest answer to how do you hold on to power sometimes involves deception, fear, even cruelty, and Machiavelli refuses to look away. The church later banned the book. His name turned into an insult, Machiavellian. And that famous line everyone pins on him, the ends justify the means, he never actually wrote it. It's a summary of an idea, not a quote from the book. Keep that in mind, because the real prince is sharper and stranger than its reputation. Now, you'd expect a book this infamous to open with fireworks. It doesn't. Chapter 1 is barely a page long, and it reads like a cold, clinical checklist. No drama, just a man laying out his instruments before surgery. But don't skip it, because in that one dry page, Machiavelli quietly hands you the map for the entire book. Here's the Chapter 1. Machiavelli says every state that has ever held power over people is one of two things. Either it's a republic, governed by many, or it's a principality, ruled by one. This book, he says, is only about principalities. Set the republics aside. Then he splits principalities in two. Some are hereditary. The ruling family has been in charge for generations, and the prince simply inherited the throne. Others are new, freshly grabbed by a ruler who wasn't born to it, and that gap matters enormously. Here's the intuition. If your family has ruled for 200 years, people are used to you. Keeping power is easy. But if you took power last month, everyone still remembers the old ruler. Everyone is testing you. That's the hard case, and it's the one Machiavelli cares about most. Then he keeps dividing. A new principality, he says, is itself one of two kinds. Either it's brand new, built from scratch, or it's an addition, territory bolted onto a state the prince already rules, like a king swallowing a neighboring province. And then two final splits, about how the prince got the state in the first place. First, with his own armies, or with someone else's. And second, the one that matters most, by fortuna or by virtù. Fortuna is fortune, luck, circumstance. events simply handing it to you. Virtù, and be careful here, does not mean virtue or being morally good. It means skill, drive, cunning, the raw ability to bend events to your will. Fortune versus skill, luck versus what you do with it. Hold on to those two words, because they are the spine of this whole book. Machiavelli is about to spend 25 more chapters asking the same question. When power lands in your lap, and when you have to seize it yourself, what does it actually take to keep it? Okay, so why should you care about a 500-year-old filing system for kingdoms? Because Machiavelli just said out loud something most people never make explicit. Before you can ask, how do I keep power, you have to ask, what kind of power do I even have, and how did I get it? A founder who built a company from nothing faces completely different threats than an heir who inherited one. Someone promoted to lead a team that still remembers the last boss has a harder job than someone building a team from scratch. And the luck versus skill question haunts every success story. Did you earn this, or did fortune hand it to you? And what happens the day your luck runs out? Chapter 1 looks boring. It's actually Machiavelli teaching you to diagnose your situation before you act. That habit, see clearly first, is the entire method. Next chapter, Machiavelli starts on easy mode, hereditary principalities, why the prince who inherits power has a far simpler job than the one who seizes it. We'll see why he thinks an inherited ruler basically has to be spectacularly incompetent to lose the throne. If you want to read along, Chapter 2 is only about 2 pages. Comment if you need Chapter 2. I'll see you there soon.